Well, I got up real early this morning to come out and take pictures, but I had no idea where I was gonna go, which is unusual for me. I almost always have a plan. But I racked my brain all last night. I just couldn't figure out where I wanted to go. I thought about going south, close to the Mexican border, but it's just gonna be too damn hot. So I did something unusual for me. I went out without a plan. Just packed up my gear, got in the truck, started driving, picked up some breakfast from McDonald's, you know, because I'm a real health nut. And just figured hopefully I'll find something along the way. And luckily I did. In fact, I found every photographer's ultimate fantasy. Abandoned buildings. Jackpot! That's right. Good old rundown, decaying, dilapidated buildings. It's what every photographer wants. Because why would you want new when you can have old? Now I feel like I have more cameras than film today because I forgot to go to the store and buy more film. So all I could bring was what was in my fridge, and I'm a little low. But I have plenty of cameras. I brought my Shen Hao 6x17. I brought my Mamiya RZ67 with a 6x6 and 6x7 back. I brought my Fuji GA645ZI. Probably won't use that camera today. Brought my Polaroid SX-70, and I also brought my Polaroid OneStep 2. For some reason. I don't know that I'll be using that one. But as far as film goes, this is all I got. Portra 160, just 2 rolls in here. Luckily, I already have 2 rolls loaded up in some RZ backs. But it's a shame I didn't bring more of that because that's exactly the color palette I want to work with right now. Of course, brought Velvia 100 full pack. I haven't really been into the super colorful stuff lately, so I don't know if I'm going to use this. However, these old buildings might look really cool with some sunset light on them. And get that super popping color, but we'll see how I'm feeling. And I brought plenty of Polaroid film because that's the kind of guy I am now. I'm a Polaroid guy. But hopefully that's enough. I think I'm going to start with the Mamiya RZ67, shoot some 6x6 and 6x7. Now because these are buildings and I want to keep the lines vertical, I want to keep the perspective right, I'm going to use a tilt shift. So I'm going to put on this adapter first. This Mamiya, as you can see, is a freaking beast of a camera. Look at that thing. It's ridiculous. A little bigger than your little Sony mirrorless, huh? By using a tilt shift lens like this 75mm, I don't have to point my camera upwards at the buildings. Instead, I keep my camera perfectly level and then simply raise the lens to get an upward perspective. By keeping the camera perfectly level like this, the perspective on the building stays correct. In other words, it doesn't look like it's bending, it doesn't look like it's tipping backwards away from the camera. Things look vertical like they're supposed to. All right. Now because I'm limited on film, I will not be bracketing today. So I better meet her damn good. All right, I need a little break from this beast. So I'm gonna shoot some Polaroids. Handheld stuff, be a little more nimble. I think I'm gonna use the OneStep 2 first. Just cause it's fun, man. Fun little camera. Don't have to think about anything, you don't have to focus. Just point and shoot. That's nice after dealing with this bad boy. Nice to step back and let the camera take care of it for a change. Now, as you'll see, I went with millennial graphite instead of hipster white. Now, I have to say, the Polaroid OneStep 2, first off, super exciting that a new one came out, because that means Polaroid's doing pretty good after all these years of digital. But it's a surprisingly solid camera. I thought this thing was going to be super flimsy and kind of chintzy feeling, but it's actually pretty damn well built. It feels good in my hands. Really my only major complaint with this camera is the viewfinder. It's really more of a suggestion than a viewfinder. The compositions I find come out with not exactly what you were seeing in here. Now for some black and white film on the SX-70. Look at that. I'd definitely have my vote for one of the most beautiful cameras ever made. I think Polaroid cameras like the OneStep 2 and you know, any of the point and shoot variety from the 80s and 90s, I feel like that's more of a, you know, get lost in the act of picture taking, you know, quick, not getting super meticulous with composition, that kind of thing, which that definitely has a place in photography. I love shooting like that a lot of the time. But the Polaroid SX-70, or any variations on it, I feel is for doing some serious composition work. You're slowing down, you're taking your time. It's almost like the large format 4x5 or 8x10 of Polaroid photography. Seeing as how it's an SLR type camera with manual focus and all, you can get really careful with composition. Yeah, that's the stuff. So I've been a little bit addicted to shooting Polaroids lately, largely because of the look. You know, there's really nothing that looks quite like a Polaroid. But I also like the process of it. You know, it's almost the exact opposite of using a large format camera. You shoot quick and dirty. The results are kind of unpredictable. It's almost a bit of a dice roll every time you take a picture. So it's kind of nice to have that change of pace every now and then. Right about now, I would normally show a montage of me driving to the next location. You know, off-roading, going up and down hills, showing you how rugged and awesome I am. But I like it here so much that I think I'm just gonna stay here the entire day. So instead of watching a montage of me driving somewhere, I'm just gonna have you watch me eat lunch. All right, that's enough of that. So here's how you know this place is a hotbed for photographers, especially film photographers. I just found this sticker posted on an old busted up light post. Classic photographer. I ended up shooting quite a few Polaroids. Not a bad stack. But I think I need to switch back to the Mamiya, the RZ67. Maybe shoot a little bit with the panoramic, the 6x17. The clouds are rolling in, which is kind of a bummer. It's a little bit overcast, or getting to be a little bit overcast. That can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. Sometimes a real thin, overcast cloud layer softens up the light, makes it look really cool. So hopefully it'll be that, but we'll see, time will tell. So I've switched over to my 110mm 2.8 and I'm doing a 6x6 back, so I'm shooting square. I love this lens, this 110mm. I feel like everything just looks amazing. Well, that's the end of that roll. It was all 6x6. And really itching to do some panoramics now. 6x17. Because I haven't used my Shen Hao in a little while and I really want to break that out and exercise it a bit. So let's see what we can find for a good panoramic composition. Okay, I think I found a decent composition for 6x17. And I'm actually pretty bummed out because the sky is getting really ugly and boring. It's just a heavy cloud cover, so it's going the direction I hoped it wouldn't. It's just kind of a boring white sky. It's one of the few angles I found where there's actually still some blue sky in the background. But that's why I'm not super confident about this picture. I don't think the sky is going to look all that great. I was initially hoping to shoot Fuji Velvia on this shot, but I don't know that that's going to be possible. I'm going to have to check the contrast range between the shadows of this building here and the white sky above. I have split ND filters, so I can use that to even it out, hopefully. But if the dynamic range or the contrast is just too high, the dynamic range of Velvia won't be able to handle it, and I'm going to have to use Kodak Portra. But I'll figure that out when I meter it. I'm using my Nikkor 150 millimeter 5.6. And I will be using lens rise on this picture because I want to level my camera perfectly and then rise the lens rather than point the camera up. That way I can keep the building upright. You know, if you point the camera up at the building, it starts to bend backwards. So by using lens rise, rising the lens standard, I can keep those lines vertical. I can tell already it's probably gonna have to be, I just set that whole thing up and then I bumped my tripod leg. God, oh man. Ugh. And here we are witnessing the most frustrating thing about using a view camera like this. There are a million ways you can screw up your shot. All right, so I can do this without touchy the tripod-y. Okay. Upon metering the scene, I determined that the contrast range was within Fuji Velvia's capabilities, which means I didn't have to use Kodak Portra. Fuji Velvia would handle this picture just fine. But after hemming and hawing a little bit, I decided ultimately, what the hell, I'll do both. I'm going to do Velvia 100 first, and then I'm going to try another exposure with Velvia using a split ND filter. Because I want to see what it would look like if I darken the sky up there a bit. Then after that, we'll do some Portra. Then we can compare them. Be a nice little learning experience. All right, we are going to start with f/22 at 1/15 of a second. For the next one, I'm going to put a split ND over it. Try and darken the sky a bit. Now when you place a split ND, it's best to do it at the aperture you're planning on using, because that will show the true hardness of the split. All right, here we go. Whew, all right, that's that. I hope those look good. Ah, yes, that's more like it. Using the split ND filter here darkened the sky a little bit, which really improved the overall picture. All right, so now we're gonna try Portra. Portra, I shouldn't need the split ND. Geez, could Kodak make their print a little more faint so I can't see what frame I'm on? Jeez. Give me some bold numbers, Kodak. Can't read that. Kodak Portra time. I'm gonna check my metering again because the light might have changed. All right, f/22 and 2/3 at 1/15. You can see the softer contrast and color palette of Kodak Portra results in a very different look from Velvia. All right, that's it for that composition. Let's see if we can find some other good panos, because I'm enjoying using my Shen Hao. Well, that's just my luck. About 10 seconds after I took everything down from doing that shot, the sun broke out and the light was beautiful and everything. So I hustled back, redid the shot on Portra and Velvia. Oh my God. All right. So I've been rushing because I didn't want to lose the light, and I think it's going away again. So good thing I rushed. With the sun still shining, I found this composition for my 6x17, and I'm really happy with the shot. I think this building is so cool looking, and it fits that 6x17 format perfectly. I shot it on Velvia and Portra. Really can't decide which one I like more, although I'm leaning towards Portra. As the day wore on and the sun continued to drop, I started to work quickly, trying to finish off a roll of 6x7 that was in my RZ. Once the sun dropped below the horizon, those clouds I was so worried about earlier started to light up like the 4th of July. The sunset just kept getting prettier and prettier and prettier until it just looked like the whole sky was on fire. This is one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen. It's a shame I'm basically out of film. Well, I guess that's why we have iPhones. I would say I'm well past my sunset phase as a photographer, but this light show was just too incredible to pass up, so I managed to fire off a few shots of Velvia using my Shen Hao, and although I'd probably never hang these on my wall, it was sure fun taking these pictures. Whoo-wee! That was a productive day. I took a lot of pictures today, so there better be 1 or 2 good ones in there. I frantically tried to get pictures of the sunset, which I really don't think they're going to turn out, to be honest. I was working too quick, and the contrast between sky and foreground was really tough to handle with the film I was using. That's all right. I don't even really like shooting sunsets that much anymore anyway. So it was just too damn pretty to not shoot it, so I had to shoot it. But as always, thanks for coming along with me on this trip. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'll see you next time.